pole, totem 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 pole.
Hello, everybody. Recording live from somewhere.
Hello, everybody. Recording live from somewhere. Totem Pole Nation. Life Lessons Podcast. Coach Bald is in the house. We're going to start off with the video I showed yesterday. And I'm going to let Jay talk on this. This is my mentor talking about life.
Can y'all hear it?
Can y'all hear it?
I can't.
No.
Yeah, let me. Did you hear it yesterday? Probably not.
Yes.
I wonder what changed.
User error.
Everybody mute their mic.
Okay. Well,
Still can't hear it.
Hold on. Can you hear anything or is it totally mute?
We just have video.
Okay. So there's something wrong here. I got to go present. And yeah, what I did was I presented it without audio. Present, share screen there. Also share tablet.
I told you this was user error.
Yes. This is not a professional production. This is very low budget. We're the low man on the totem pole. Y'all hear now?
Big tradition here.
We got it.
So big now that at one time Meadowbrook got kind of lost in the shuffle. But now, we've came a long ways and played the type of football that should be flowing through Meadowbrook football players' veins, blue and gold. We've had some great teams here year to year. And, I never believe it until it happens, and never believe we're going to win until it's Saturday morning or, late Friday night. I hope that if one thing these boys have learned is that we keep getting better, and we haven't completed our goal until we win the state championship. And it's it's winning for the community, for the many classes that have already graduated over here, the coaching staff. I don't think I've ever went to work at a place where you come to practice every day and you look forward to coming to practice just to see the coaches and even the players. I mean, that's the best gift of all that I think I've received from Meadowbrook is just working with the boys, seeing them get better, kicking them in the ass as often as you can. I'm not a pat you on the butt coach and tell you you've done a great job. I expect great things out of them. I expect to win the state championship. Next year I expect to win the state championship. The year after that, I expect to win the state championship. I don't really remember too much of the talking family before I got here, and I don't remember too much talking about love. I think that's probably what's made us get better is using the word love.
Somebody's getting knocked out tonight.
It's kind of funny to talk about love in football, but I personally became a better Meadowbrook Monarch after I spent time in the service, really understanding what a team is. You know, how your attitude, how your performance can affect people's lives. I think telling the boys as often as possible that you love them is an important thing. Pointing out maybe their weaknesses that will help them out throughout their life. I'm not a great football coach at all. I'm probably the least effective one on the field here. But the love that our coaches have for the boys produce a different type of football player. I can't imagine any better opportunities that I've had, except for being here coaching. You know, I've jumped out of jets, jumped out of helicopters, been to Paris, always have been a top shelf type of person, but this is the greatest experience of my life. And, you know, I think when I do pass away, thinking about my relationship with my football players is, I hope, will be the last thing that passes through my mind. Nothing worse than having to take your teammate or your buddy and put him on a helicopter, and then you won't never see him again after that point. I think that maybe that's where my push and my unwillingness to be second best comes down on the football field now. You know, when I'm hollering and kicking the boys in the ass, you know, I think that maybe one day they're going to be in the same situation that I have, and I just want to somehow prepare them for that.
Man, Coach Jay Freeman didn't get to hear that yesterday, but he heard it today. I listened to it last night. Coach Jay Freeman, you never got to meet my mentor, Jimmy Rogers. But what did you think about that?
Well, Coach Taylor, I sure appreciate you showing us that video yesterday and showing it again today, because part of us as men here, as coaches, as people in different kind of tough sports and this and that, we, you know, this is a history we're passing down. It's a verbal history of what it means to be great, of what it means to be tough, of what it means to be a great leader of young men. Well, I'll tell you what, that's why you got kicked off the field at Colorado State, Coach, because you only knew one way to do it. Hey, you only knew one way to do it. You only knew one way to lead. You only knew one way to get the best out of those young people, and that's what he gave you. He gave you everything he had. Everything he had is what he served up to you guys. And there's nothing more you can expect from a leader. There's nothing more you can expect.
Rebecca, have I shown the video of him eating the glass? Have you ever seen that before, Paul? Paul, are you on mute, Paul? Coach Bald, how does that make you feel? Hearing Jimmy Rogers' words on that video. I think you're on mute, Coach Bald.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I watch that all the time, man. I love that video, and I always get emotional because it's a man's testimony, and you know, the great life that he lived. You know, being an Army Ranger, all the stuff he saw. His most prideful moment was being on that sidelines, being a coach, being in the moment, and having that type of impact. You know, Coach Rogers was gonna make you laugh, and he was gonna get you dialed in. He was gonna get you focused. And yeah, exactly what Coach Jay Freeman said. These things that people get, they get passed down. And that, I think that tough love, I think that's a quality you don't see as much anymore. Kids fall down, their parents go grab them, they pick them up, they don't tell them, hey, get back up, get back on the horse and stuff like that. So I love it. Old school is always going to be cool with me because that's kind of the way I learned. And, the way we used to live in the days, the way back in the days, man, everybody was always outside. Everybody was always working, doing physical work. And you didn't have all this mental health disease that you have these days. So, Coach Rogers, he's a hero of mine. And I love him. And sometimes some of the coolest things in the world will happen. And I wonder what it is. And I know it's probably him looking over us as our guardian angel, like he always has been, Coach. I know he was one of your best friends, Coach Taylor. So if you could tell me what that whole video means to you, because I know it means a lot, Coach.
I mean, it just means that it means that anytime you can hear your friend, anytime you can see your friend, and anytime your friend can tell you what he truly believed, from his inner being. And like that was his mission. And that was what he was doing. And he was special. And he was the nobody, but he was everything to everybody. He was the man. He's the most savage coach of all time. He's the most loved coach of all time. Paul, from being in a lieutenant colonel, did you meet any Army Rangers that held the same belief as Coach Rogers?
Well, here we go again, Mr. Taylor. And this is why. This is why I told you. This is why. You should not have showed me that video of your mentor. You should not have shown me. Because I want to tell you right now, this is what's wrong with that video. You know what's wrong with that video? Is you, Troy Taylor. I don't appreciate running out the tunnel. I poo-poo everything when it comes to football. Blah, 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 blah. The last thing that guy said, he said he remembers football players before he remembers God-darn Rangers.
Yes.
Having served in the military and been around football and always wanted to run on that field with players, I need you to rededicate yourself in your heart to that field and those players. Like rededication, like you're dedicated, but I want a rededication after hearing that. That fired me up, dude, because that dude, Army Ranger, football players.
You work for Louis Vuitton.
Army Ranger, but I want my last memory when I close my eyes to be football players. Sometimes, dude, we gotta figure out what's right. But dude, football players make Rangers. That's what he understood.
Yes.
Football players, football teams, football coaches make Rangers.
Yes.
Not the other way around.
And I told in the Granite 617 reminds me of him. Howard Shotsky. Is there anything that you heard in there that reminds you of In the Granite 617?
I kind of like the part that Paul didn't like when he said he wants his last memory to be in the ships that he created during football. One thing we've talked about is you guys, a lot of the support that I've gotten has been from relationships that I made through the game. So to me, that's the relationships that get created are extremely powerful.
I totally agree. Lambo, you heard that before. You heard it a couple times. You heard it yesterday. And Paul, when you called me, that's when I told you that I'm going to be taking a step back from totem pole because I'm getting ready to enter the drop zone.
Yeah, I know.
But Lambo,
I know.
Look at that, Lambo. I know you got to go to work.
What?
What did you
I,
think of the video?
I mean, it's all about storytelling. It's all about storytelling, and you can learn a lot of things from it. And there's not a lot of coaches like Jimmy Rogers out there, man. And we need that. We need that old school mentality, bro. It's all about that old school mentality. It's about telling the story. It's about helping the kids. And then if you're gonna, the mission, like I said, build champions, change lives, and help others. That's just what the mission is, and he'd be one of the greatest to ever do it.
Coach Jay Freeman, all the way out in Seattle, Washington.
Yes, sir.
You thought that I had taught Totem Pole Reed. Totem Pole Reed thought that you were from Virginia, but you're from Seattle, Washington. And
Yes,
talk a little
sir.
bit about Totem Pole Reed and his disability. And you saw
Oh man.
one of my ball boys was Jimmy's nephew. He had Down syndrome and he died of leukemia. And he was our buddy, and he was in that video. Talk a little bit about Paul Reed yesterday and bringing him on, and in the Granite 617 and him share a love for Funko Pops.
That's right. That's exactly right. Hey, well, can I say one thing about your coach before we leave?
You can say idea. You can say a lot of things.
Okay, here's one thing. Here's one thing about your coach. Is his name Jimmy Rogers? Is that his name?
Yeah. Ranger Rogers.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let me tell you one thing about old Jimmy Rogers too. I didn't say. Is one thing I noticed in hearing that tape twice is he said, I noticed before I got here, I don't think family talk was something we did. He said that. And so the point of it, you guys, and Coach mentioned it, and Paul from Seoul mentioned it, is if you go to a good restaurant and you like how it tastes, it's because of this. If you go to a businessman and he runs a tight ship, it's because of this. If you go to a hotel and the dang bed is made correctly, it's because of this. Love is the secret sauce of life. LLL, love. And that's one thing Jimmy Rogers said. He said, we talk a lot about love in the football program. And I would say this, and I think Paul mentioned it yesterday, and we were talking about it, is with men together, love is not something that we bring up that much. Love is not something we talk about that much. But we feel it between teammates, and we feel it between in the military. You feel it in your unit if you're lucky, and you feel it as teammates. And when you have a reunion and one of your teammates calls you after 10 years, it feels like you just had a conversation, don't it, guys?
Yes.
Because that's love. That's love. Anyway, can I talk about that guy named Totem Pole Reed?
Yes, Totem Pole Reed, who I met. He has the disability, but he loves Funko Pops.
And Coach, you mentioned your ball boy who had Downs and other problems.
Yeah,
other disabilities.
Andy.
So here's one thing I would tell you guys. For all those employers in America, for all those people that run a small business or have a business, if you got a chance to hire somebody with disabilities, maybe you should do it. Because I tell you one thing, they're not going to call in sick. They're not going to be lazy probably. They're not going to take days off and time off. They're not going to think that their menial task is below them. They're going to know. You're going to know when you meet that young person, you make that acquaintance, and you find them a spot in your business that they're going to show up every day and work in a way that you're probably not used to other people doing anymore. Hey, guys, I tell my young people with disabilities today, I said, you're going to go out in the real world and you're going to carve them up. You're going to beat everyone else in these regular ed kids because you know how to treat people. You know how to show up on time. You know how to work hard. And you're not selfish, right? But the one thing that attracted me about that young man, Totem Pole Reed, yesterday was his knowledge. His huge knowledge he had about Funko Pops was probably among the best in the world, if not the best in the United States. One of the best knowledge bases in the world. And I was impressed by Troy Taylor yesterday because Troy Taylor's able to bring him up and put him in a spot and put him in a niche that allows Totem Pole Reed to shine, to totally shine. And guys, that's what it's about. If you have like a superstar ability, or maybe people call it a disability, as long as you can find the proper outlet for it, that young person can be considered an expert.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
Yes.
And there's no measure for enthusiasm.
Yes. Yes. Talk a little bit about Tourette's. You said your son suffers from Tourette's or has Tourette's. Talk a little bit about where that comes from in the brain, because I just learned that yesterday.
All right, you guys, you're making me do science first thing in the morning. That's good. So there's a part in the brain of the large, like chimpanzees and stuff, and they have alert sounds. So like if they see a snake, they'll point at it and they'll make a cry that's called a snake raw. And if they see a big eagle or condor that's going to swoop down and eat them, they're going to have a different kind of yell. And if they see a big snake, they're going to climb the tree and go out to the branch. And that's another thing. You know, I mean, everything, a big lion. So in human beings, there's a different part in your brain that makes curse words than makes regular speech. And that's the same corresponding part in the chimpanzee brain that makes the snake raw sound. So what I'm trying to say is the place that you make curse words in your brain is not the same place where regular speech comes from. And so when you have a tic disorder, TIC, a tic disorder, or a Tourette's, the center of the brain that makes that kind of speech is getting triggered. And that's why you've got, you know, curse words, or you got loud vocalizations. Yes. Yes. Right? Did you ever watch Deuce Bigelow? You ever watch Deuce Bigelow? Yeah. She's like yelling, ball liquor, ball sweat. You know what I mean? Like that's what it's up, man.
Rebecca Luttrell said, hi, tell the guys what my mom told me. Well, this was a few months ago, Rebecca, but your mom said that we were the only live stream you were allowed to watch. But that was before In the Granite 617. Coach Ball, how are you feeling today? We're getting ready to hit the top 50, but what do you think about today so far in Life Lessons Podcast?
Well, you know, I just want to go on what Coach Freeman said and co-sign on that. You know, that's what I think good coaches can do in any business is, you know, if you got a Tom Brady, you're not going to have him sitting there playing left tackle. You're not going to have him sitting there snapping the ball to the quarterback. No, you're going to put him in position to throw the football and have success. And I think that's what a good coach does, or, you know, just a good manager in any business. You put your best people in the best position to succeed. And that's, I tell you what, so he was great yesterday. I got a couple of those action figures, the Funko guys. I got an Andre and a Hogan, and they're numbered at 3 and 4. So I was wondering if I had anything with those guys. But dude, I am excited about this list, man. We knocked out the from 50 to 26, and I'm ready to get into this this very suspect list, if you ask me. So whenever you guys are ready to rock and roll, I definitely am. I'm seeing A.J. Brown on the list. Big wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, the Eagles, they started off the season like world beaters. I want to say they were 7-1, maybe 8-1, and then they just fell. They just, you know what? They hit it bad, man. They went down like a fat kid on a seesaw. These guys ended the season terribly. They ended the season. And a lot of talk last season was A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts not being on the same page, you know, maybe not even in the same book. You even saw them on the sidelines get into a little shoving issue. So I don't know. The guy, when he's dialed in, he's one of the best receivers in the game. But when you see a team just completely fold like a lawn chair in, you know, arguably the last half of the season, you know, you wonder what type of player this guy is, and do you mortgage your whole future on an A.J. Brown? 25 sounds about right. 25 sounds about right. The guy is a playmaker. And, besides the quarterback, these wide receivers, man, they can definitely change the game with their play. I look forward to see what he does with the Saquon Barkley now in that loaded up backfield. It's going to be interesting to see what these Eagles do this season. I think with the Philadelphia Eagles, it's Super Bowl or bust. But the craziest thing in my mind is when you look at how many Super Bowl winners are in the NFC. The NFC, there is one guy with one ring. We're coming into an amazing time for football because that NFC, you have no big time quarterbacks. You don't have any NFC quarterbacks in that top 5, in that top 10. So to me, we're coming into a great time. You're going to see some new superstars be unleashed this year. And, it's going to be interesting to see what Jalen Hurts does now with Barkley in the backfield, A.J. Brown. Man, Coach, what do you think about this Lambeau? I know you watch that NFC East ball a lot. What is your insight on A.J. Brown? How much better or worse is he going to be now that they have loaded up that backfield with Saquon Barkley?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Look, when it comes to the Eagles, I think, like I said, Nick Sirianni is probably on the hot seat. I know Eagles fans are very, very impatient when it comes to these certain type of situations. Look, the list is a joke in general. These guys don't know nothing pro football focus. Shout out to EA Sports Electronic Arts Madden NFL 24, Madden NFL 25 that comes out I think in the next 2 weeks. Shout out to the people that don't know anything about football. I look at it from a perspective. Remember AJ Brown from the Tennessee Titans? Remember him? Remember when they went to that draft and I think Mike Vrabel was pissed that they traded him. He was very pissed in that draft room. Look, he's a valuable wide receiver. You also got Devontae Smith on the side. You got Saquon Barkley. I know you brought in Kellen Moore and you brought in was it Vic Fangio? So you have no excuse to really be garbage this year, right? You have no excuse. They started off 10-1 last year, and then they went from 10-1 to 11-6 with the loss to the Buccaneers. Not just lose. I'm talking about you lost very badly to the Bucs. Secondary is awful. What is the expectation for the Eagles? I mean, like you said, Coach Ball, the NFC isn't, that great of quarterbacks. It's not that great of, teams or competition-wise. I mean, because when you look at it from the Super Bowl perspective, it's either going to be 49ers or the Lions, maybe Green Bay. But in the AFC, you have so much competition. Look, A.J. Brown is valuable. I think he retires as an Eagle unless something, bad happens completely with the coaching staff and the organization. But A.J. Brown at 25, like I said, the list is a joke. But Coach Jay Freeman, what do you think about A.J. Brown?
Hey guys, hey, I appreciate that, Lambeau, and I appreciate everything you're saying. Guys, first thing I want to say about the list, okay? Guys, I would argue that the PFF list is much better than the few lists we've had the last few days. I would argue that the PFF list is much better constructed than the ESPN top 50 or top 100, and also the other list of the wrestlers the other day. The reason the PFF list is better is because who makes the list? Former NFL coaches grade every play of every game for every player. Mm-hmm. Who grades it? Not some sports writer who never put on a jockstrap, but former NFL coaches grade every single rep. And so I think the PFF grades are much more valid than most people give them by how they're made. Listen, I don't want to comment too much about skill guys because I don't pay much attention to wideouts, right? Just because that's my line of work, okay? I pay much more attention to defensive front, offensive front, and even defensive secondary. Okay, but I think he's a great talent, and I think he's also a great weapon. And when Lambeau mentioned some of those other weapons they have on the other side as a wide receiver, and you mentioned Saquon Barkley, right? And is that what you mentioned? And you also mentioned the quarterback and the quarterback's continued development, right? I think they'll probably take a step forward. The thing that bothers me about their offense this year, guys, is the retirement of their center. Their center is retired. And even though they have a capable guy sliding in there, it's probably not the same.
Bye-bye, Tush Push. Tush Push is gone.
Howard, how do you feel about A.J. Brown being 25 on the list?
Like I said yesterday, I think they're trying to move A.J. Brown. I wouldn't be surprised to see him traded, but he's a good receiver, and I agree with everybody else. 25 is about right for him.
Yeah,
Paul, what do you think?
Old.
Is the man from Seoul on here? Hey, Jay Freeman, I posted that Jimmy Rogers video on Line Play, O-line and D-line brotherhood.
Yes, sir. We'll make sure we get it out to other the platforms.
Yeah, because it's only got 2,400 views, man. Coaches should be looking at that. All right, Caesar Tejada, thank you for joining Totem Pole. This goes out to you, Caesar. Metcalf to the Bills or not? Caesar Tejada said wide receivers greater than running backs. Caesar said where's Nakua ranked? We haven't gotten to him yet. But A.J. Brown to me tapped out last year. A.J. Brown to me is the definition. If you look up Wikipedia, if you go to your encyclopedia and you look up diva wide receiver, there's a picture of A.J. Brown. That's all I'm going to say about A.J. Brown. All right, number 24. Number 20. Wow. 24 on the list is Jamar Chase. Lambeau, how do you feel about that? Jamar Chase is 24.
Jamar Chase should be in the top 15 or top 10. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, when the Cincinnati Bengals, I think in 2020 or 2021, when Joe Burrow got hurt, we know they needed offensive lineman, but they gambled for the fifth pick of the draft, fifth pick of the draft. They got the teammate from LSU, Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is a great wide receiver. I think he did get a contract extension, or he's working on a contract extension, whatever one it is. Jamar Chase should not be ranked 24. He should be ranked in the top 15, top 10. Jamar Chase is the face of Cincinnati along with Joe Burrow. They did go to a Super Bowl and almost beat the Rams, but the Rams defensive line, like I try to tell people, the offensive line for the Bengals wasn't as great.
Gator,
So
what's up?
I like this list.
Gator, what is up? Gator, this bud's for you, Gator.
Gator is in the house.
Man from Seoul, how do you think? How do you feel about Jamar Chase?
I think he's out. He tapped out.
Or Coach Ball, how do you feel about Jamar Chase?
You know what, man? Hey, he's a playmaker. I agree, man. I think he's a top 15 talent. Like you said, they were not that good up front, and I think that's why the Bengals in their first round went and picked the big fella, Amarius Mims, out of the University of Georgia to play offensive line and to take care of that blind side for Joey Burrows. Then in the second round, they turned around and I think maybe got a steal of the day when they picked Chris Jenkins, the big defensive lineman out of Michigan. So those guys building up front, hey, as an offensive line guru, man, that's where I love seeing teams draft. I love seeing offensive linemen and defensive linemen drafted early. For them to do that first and second, I love it. And I do, man. This guy is a stud. He can make plays inside of a phone booth. He's a small, dynamic threat. They just need to find ways to get that guy the ball. You know, it's hard to double him because they can throw him in the slot. They can have him line up in the backfield, come out in motion. He's a playmaker, man. We're in a new era where passing is running the ball. You know, passing is where it's at. You can pass all the time now because, hey, they don't even let you touch the quarterback without throwing the flag. So I totally agree, man. I think he could definitely have been bumped up 10 more spots, you know, into that top 15, top 13. And I think when it comes to fantasy football, you'll see him one of the top 3 wide receivers drafted. I think you got to go with Jefferson. You got to go with CD Lamb. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Chase sitting there as your 3rd option in fantasy football. Let me ask you this, Howard Shotsky. What do you think about Jamar Chase being in this spot? You got back-to-back receivers. We're starting to see some playmakers. What do you think, Howard?
I'm a big Chase fan. I think he's got speed. He's got talent. He's playing with his college quarterback. That connection is extremely valuable to the Bengals. I think Chase is one of the top 10, 15 players in the game right now.
Man from Soul, what do you think about Jamar Chase at 24?
Gator wants to know what number.
A little low. I need a little bit higher. He has a elite impact on the game. I'm anxious to see what receivers are ahead of him. But I'd have him, like you said, in the definitely top 15.
Jamar Chase is 24. Caesar Tejada says true facts. Gator says 100. Gator says what number do they put Chase? 24. All right, number 23. Now, Howard Shotsky got a little fired up about this guy yesterday. Antoine Winfield, safety out of Tampa Bay. Howard Shotsky, yesterday, did you not say that his dad was a better player than him? So how do you Antoine Winfield here?
You know, I don't watch Tampa too much, but I'm not a big fan. He's all right, you know, but I don't think their defensive backfield will be what Coach Ball thinks it will be. We'll see.
Peter said 24, that's cap. AI made this list. Yes. Caesar Tejada said, ha, ha, ha. Coach Ball, you are a Tampa Bay season ticket holder. Antoine Winfield coming in at number 23. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, just to school you guys a little bit, I'm also a Buffalo Bills fan, and we had a guy by the name of Antoine Winfield, and he played corner for us for about 8 years. Then he positioned himself into the safety spot. Just an amazing tackler, man, amazing tackler, and you get the same thing with his son. Antoine Winfield Jr., this is where I have to agree with Jay Freeman again, because he's a guy that's not on that big market. You know, he's not in Dallas. You know, he's not in New York. You know, he's not in these super huge markets that they want to pump up and beat you up with, the Philadelphia Eagles. This guy is a ball player. He is a wrecking ball. He's a game changer in that secondary. With all the passing going on now, you need a guy like him that can take the ball to the other side. Hey, you throw it his way, you're going to be in trouble. I'm telling you, he's a ball player. Antoine Winfield Jr., and they just got Jordan Whitehead back from the New York Jets. Look at those two as the top tandem, the top safety tandem in the National Football League. For them to put him in the top 25, it does show me that PFF is doing their homework, because this guy's a ball player. Yes, he doesn't have that, you know, Ronnie Lott size. You know, he's not big. He's not as big as a, he's not as big as a Kenny Easley out of the Seattle Seahawks. You know, he's a guy that's Troy Polamalu, man. He's going to bring the fire, and he's a playmaker. I'm telling you, Antoine Winfield at this spot, I love it. I love it. They did their homework here. He's definitely one of the best in the league, and you're going to wonder why is Tampa winning these games. How have these guys won the division 4 years in a row? because they hit on guys like this from the University of Minnesota, Antoine Winfield. Huge fan of his. Like I said, his dad was one of my favorites when he was with the Buffalo Bills, and it's a pleasure watching this guy every Sunday at Raymond James Stadium. Coach Lambo, what is your thought process? When are you going to come to Tampa and watch Antoine Winfield sit beside Coach Ball?
Look, Antoine Winfield is a great guy. I mean, he you know, his dad was obviously better in my opinion, but I mean, his career is just starting, so I don't want to put any comparison on somebody's dad and then their son, because it's a different era of football nowadays. Now, congratulations, the Bucs won the division 4 years in a row. The NFC South is weak. One of those years you had Tom Brady, the other years you didn't. So congratulations for going mediocre 8-9 and winning the division with a losing record. Who cares? I look at it from this aspect of this player. They also, if I'm correct, is one of their DBs from Tampa Bay the highest paid? I think it was Carlton Davis, or is it this guy Antoine Winfield? It might be Carlton Davis.
No, Winfield.
Winfield. Okay, so he's one of the highest paid. So, like I said, in that Todd Bowles system, Bruce Arians was the former head coach. Now you got Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles has been a great defensive mind for the past 10 years, and I know, you know, his shot with the Jets as a head coach wasn't great with Fitzpatrick, whatever, but he always had an elite defense. So he's doing well. I have respect for him. I think Antoine Winfield at 24, he could be a little bit higher depending on what the other 23 players are, but I like Antoine Winfield right here. Coach Jay Freeman, you love
Yes, sir.
You love DBs. What do you think about Antoine Winfield being the highest paid DB in the NFL?
Well, hey, thank you, Lambo. And Lambo, hey, I gotta tell you, I love to hear Lambo talk, man. I love to hear Lambo spit facts, because as we said yesterday, hey, what's the word? Is they say he's wise beyond his years, baby. He's wise beyond his years. And I found out his age yesterday. I said, man, this guy got some knowledge in that head of his. Hey, but I'm going to piggyback off what Coach Bald said down there in Tampa Bay, baby, is this guy almost has as many pressures as he does tackles. You know what I'm saying? And so this is a special cat who can play around the line of scrimmage. In the modern era of football, I got to jump in the slot sometimes. I got to go back and play two deep safety sometimes. I got to buzz down and cover a crossing route. I got to come down and thump somebody in run support. But you can see something from this young man is he's quite comfortable rushing the passer. He had 6 sacks and I think 26 pressures last year. That's off the top of my head, y'all. I'm not sure. But the guy is a dominant force around the line of scrimmage. Now, as Phil Schlotsky said, and Coach Ball said, and Lambo said, his dad was a generational talent as a tackler, as a DB. He might have been the best tackler in that generation, right? And a lot of people don't remember this, but old Ronnie Lott was a great corner before he was a great safety. And so that used to be the natural progression for a tough, hard-nosed DB to start out as a tough tackling corner, but when they lost a step, slide him inside and let him play safety. Hey, I think it's great to have a defensive back at 24 because that's pretty high for a defensive back that's not a cover guy. That's a pretty high rating.
Man from Soul, what do you think about Antoine Winfield Jr.? Is this the right placement for him at 24?
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed the insight and the factual information put on Mr. Winfield. I was a big Winfield senior fan, but I would have to go here. This is where I would go. Hey, PFF, you got this wrong, and this is why I say this again. Some players are the product of what they don't have, and that's Mr. That is Mr. What's his name?
Antoine Winfield.
Jamar Chase did not have his QB, but he's behind Winfield. There's no way that doesn't have the impact that he has on the game. So PFF, if you want to do analysis and you want to use analytics, please give me a little bit eye test, because we know that Jamar Chase, on a day in and day out basis, has a greater impact on the game than Antoine Winfield Jr. Does he not deserve to be up there? Sure, but again, this is where, like, you gotta. I don't know, because just because Jamar Chase is on his quarterback, then you got to put him down lower. Like, we're ranking players, not players with their whole team intact with no injuries. We're not. So what is the analysis here? You see what I'm saying?
We got a lot of comments. Gator said Junior's best in the open field tackler. Cesar Tejada said Tampa's defense top 5 this year. Christopher Davis says it's a Bucks life. Win or lose, we boost, baby. Bruce Arians. Johnny Blaze says, let's go Niners. Johnny Blaze says, can't wait for fantasy football. Johnny Blaze and the rest of Totem Pole Nation, this is for y'all. $2 in a row. Coach Shay Freeman, what's up, y'all? Paul, PFF is a production grade. Christopher Davis, Winfield Jr. is a turnover machine. Coach Jay Freeman, Coach Bald, you are.
Well, how do I get production if I have no QB? Like, it's a little bit skewed. I mean, you're ranking player. Got it. I got it.
You're on mute, Jay.
No, I'm just saying I feel you. It is frustrating when you know that a young man is even a greater talent, but they can't showcase it because the other parts of the offense is missing. Paul, I get it 100%. The frustration, 100%.
Number 22, Coach Ball, season ticket holder of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tristan Wirfs, starting tackle. I believe he's out of Iowa, correct? What do you think about Tristan Wirfs being here at 22? And we got another O-line guy and we got an Iowa guy. So they're all fired up to talk about Tristan.
Absolutely, Coach. I am salivating over this guy right here. You're talking about a guy, 6'5", 320 pounds, 25 years old, University of Iowa, a wrestler. I believe he was a state championship in high school as a wrestler. The guy knows how to move people. The guy is a generational talent. You talk about a left tackle. This guy's going to be there hopefully for the next 10 years. He's already all pro. Okay, so you talk about, Trent Williams and the dominant impact that he makes. Well, like you said yesterday, he does take plays off. This guy right here, he takes no plays off. And everybody last season, when Brady wasn't in town, they thought the wheels were going to fall off. No, it's because of a guy like this. And that's one thing I love is we had Coach McNally on here, and we talked about Wilfs, and we said, Coach, how easy would it be for him to transition? Because he was the right tackle the 2 previous seasons, and he moved to left tackle. He moved to left tackle with no problem. He looked like he'd been playing that position his whole career. So I love that this guy right here, the Bucks need to just strap up the Brinks truck, write him a check, blank check, okay? Give this guy whatever he wants because he is just a stud. They showed him in the NFL Combine or NFL Draft. The guy, like I said, 6'5", 320. He went in the shallow end of the pool and jumped right out of the pool onto the deck, man. Freak of nature athlete. Heck of a wrestler, just a heck of a human being, man. Everything I hear about the guy is phenomenal. Baker Mayfield, maybe one of the smartest men in America because he basically married the guy in the offseason. They both had kids, babies, growing up together. This guy right here, he's the next big thing when it comes to offensive linemen. If he was in Dallas, Philly, if he was in one of those markets, everybody would be talking about him. If he played at Kansas City, they'd probably already have a statue of the man sitting outside. That's what kind of talent this guy is. He'll be top 5 within the next 3 years when we're talking about the top 50 players.
We got a lot of comments. Johnny Blaze, football is going to be great this year. A lot of players with different teams. Derrick Henry with Baltimore Ravens. Sheesh. Christopher Davis, I think he gave up 1 sack last year. Best offensive lineman in the NFL. Caesar Tejada, coach in his knowledge bag for real. Shay Freeman. And then I want to hear from Paul, because Paul is the Iowa guy. Coach Shay Freeman. Tristan Wirfs. Paul Thomas, opinion about him blocking his lines.
Hey, so listen, it's funny, Coach Troy Taylor, you got a great group of dudes here. When Coach Ball be dropping the knowledge, bro, I was waiting on him to talk about jumping out of the pool. I was going to put that factor there, but he pulled it out already. But listen to this. Hey, this guy is smooth. This guy is smooth. This guy's a deluxe athlete. He's a deluxe mover. Like Coach said, he got 34-inch arms. He ran a 4.85 in the 40, right? He's got a 38-inch vertical jump, right? He's a deluxe athlete. But it's incredible that the things that make him the so elite of a talent is those other things that we mentioned. Guys, he won the discus as a sophomore. He won a discus as a sophomore in high school. He was he won the state championship as a senior in wrestling, and he won the throwing stuff 3 years in a row. What does that tell you? 3 years in a row, he won the state title in track as a thrower. The other thing I would say about this, and things are cyclical, but Iowa has produced fundamentally sound plug and play offensive linemen at the NFL for a long time. All right. And some of that is probably, related to the culture that their head coach had built. Okay. And it was a culture that was a lineman centric organization. Right. And I love Coach Ball getting excited, because if a quarterback is a smart guy, you're going to have a great relationship with your blindside pass pro. Right. Anyway, one more thing. The ability to move from the right side to the left side and do it seamlessly is a rare trait. There's a lot of guys who have trouble with it. It's a hard thing to do. It may not seem hard to a regular person, but it's pretty hard. Hey, a lot of those rushers would tell you that the hardest guy they played against last year was Tristan Wirfs. That he's able to jump and get on you before you're ready to get your move on.
Amen.
Paul, you're an Iowa guy, Paul. How do you feel about Tristan Wirfs?
Well, Tristan Wirfs was, first of all, truly a blessing. He was a local kid that stayed. Everyone wanted him, and he stayed. And he got the best out of staying, because again, I hear about Bill Best, Jim McNally. I don't hear about anyone talking about offensive line coach at the University of Iowa. He needs a little bit of credit, because he is a plug and play guy. They make 0 stars into 3 stars and plug them right into the NFL. Okay, and I'm not going to go along here, but he is a talented guy that came out of Iowa. He was talented when he got there. But you know what the reason he is the guy who he is? Because there are big guys like Brian Bulaga, and then there are dancing bears. And he's a dancing bear. He can play anywhere on the line of scrimmage, because he can dance. He can go on Dancing with the Stars and look like Jerry Rice. That's the kind of feet this kid has. The dancing bear.
Yep. The walk-off right there, ladies and gentlemen. Howard Shotsky, what do you think about the big fella? Do you ever watch this guy at all?
Yeah, I think we said everything we need to say about the kid's a great athlete, tremendous player. He's got great feet. He can move. I'm a big Tristan Wirfs fan.
Wow. And you don't like anybody, Howard, so that's very, very impressive right there. Lambo, did you already chat about him? I think you did, didn't you?
No, not about him. I mean, when it comes to Tristan Wirfs, I mean, when they won that Super Bowl, was he there when y'all won that Super Bowl in 2020?
Yeah, sir.
There,
he's the reason.
Well, then you had Tristan Wirfs. I know you also got Ryan Jensen as well. So I'm not sure if he's retired or he's still on the team. But like I said, Iowa guys are not being talked about. By the way, Johnny Blaze, Brock Purdy's not from Iowa, from Iowa State. But my point is, like I said, Iowa and that coach, great coach. I mean, Iowa has competed for the Big Ten against Michigan or whatever, but this guy, I think, is correct. As you know, top 25 as far as offensive linemen, because it matters about the big boys up front. But we got at 21.
Lane Johnson, Philadelphia Eagles. Coach Jay Freeman. The Mastermind Alliance. Coach Jay Freeman. Coach Bald. Coach Jay Freeman. On April 6, 2024, Lane Johnson, and former Eagles teammate Jason Kelsey, wearing a luchador mask, participated in WrestleMania
40.
helping Rey Mysterio and Andrade win their match. What do you think, Lane Johnson?
That was the greatest WrestleMania of all time. It's not even close.
Hey, I was just trying to put that factor in there because we got so many people who love WWE, man.
Yes.
Greatest WrestleMania of all time.
Hey, can I say something about Lane Johnson now?
Yes.
Let me tell you what, brother. This guy is a freak. This guy is a freak, okay? This guy is like 6'6", 325 with 35 and a quarter inch arms, bro, and 10 1/4 hands. So he's got his reach on you, bro, and he's got his size, the prototypical tackle size, above that prototypical, like even more than what you want. And then he runs a 4.75 in the 40-yard dash. So he's a full 0.10 faster than Tristan Wirfs moves. And he's bigger than Tristan Wirfs. You know what I'm saying? Now, he's 34 years old, guys, so he's on the end. But he's still in the top 25 in NFL offensive tackle. You know what I'm saying? He's in the conversation at being the best in his position in the NFL at 34 years old. What does that tell you about his physical gifts, his natural God-given talent, and then how he's worked to take what he does best and refine it? Refine it. Listen, I've seen a lot of films of this guy working in the offseason. There's actually some training tools that he's helped to develop, okay? I think it's called the torque wheel. And he's helped to develop it. He uses it all the time. And the dude is a force, man. The guy works very hard, and the guy's level of play has not really declined at 34 years of age. That's about it, man.
Coach Bald.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, exactly what Coach said. The guy's a freak. How many offensive linemen have a six-pack? You know what I mean? Like, this guy is 6'6", 325, and has a six-pack. Plays offensive line for the Eagles. I tell you what, if he played right tackle, if he was doing it at right tackle, you'd probably see him in the top 10. But
he is a right tackle.
Playing left tackle, but he's on the right side, and he's arguably one of the best right tackles to ever play the game. I mean, he's a stud. He's a big reason why they've been successful as long as they have. You know, I totally agree with this. I don't like him being slotted over Tristan, and I think that's one more of those East Coast bias that has been mentioned here. I think the Eagles are a team that they want to pump up and have everybody excited for, and they're just the sexier looking team than the Tampa Bay Bucks. You know, that's kind of my philosophy on that. But I love Lane Johnson, the big fella out of the University of Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner. The guy's a badass, and when I look at offensive linemen, I want them nasty. You know, I want them to play to the whistle. I want them to be a prick, but I want him to be a smart prick. When we talk about a smart prick and a badass, that's Lane Johnson right there, Coach.
Coach Howard Schotzky, how would you feel being Lane Johnson's agent?
I'm a big fan of Lane Johnson, not only for his on-the-field play, but Lane Johnson, I don't know if everybody's aware, but he's a mental health trailblazer and Lane Johnson suffers from anxiety, but you see he hasn't let it affect his career really. So, you know, since I have the same problem, I'm a huge Lane Johnson fan.
Lambo, how do you feel about Lane Johnson starting right tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, the Philadelphia Eagles have made the best decision, even though they went through 3 coaches. Picking up number 4 overall in the first round of the 2013 draft, coming out the Oklahoma Sooners. Shout out to EA Sports Electronic Arts College Football 25 and EA Sports Electronic Arts Madden NFL 25. Look, Lane Johnson is one of the best tackles in this game. It's not even close. I'm not gonna say he's the best ever because you know there's other greats out there, but just as of right now, just in this era, I mean he's the top dog. I mean you could put him behind, you know, ISO whatever. He knows how to block the blind side. I mean Lane Johnson has been great. He shows mental toughness. He's a Super Bowl champion, and there's not going to be, like I said, how many Lane Johnsons are we going to see in the NFL? Not a lot. The man from Seoul. What do you think about Lane Johnson at 21? You're muted. You're muted. What do you think about Lane Johnson at 21, the man from Seoul?
I like it. It's good. Again, until Coach Freeman mentioned his age, guys like him and Trent Williams are like, they have no age. They're just robots. And again, Oklahoma had both of those guys. Holy mackerel. But yeah, a solid first ballot Hall of Fame gold jacket guy. Just impeccable professionalism along the offensive line.
Ooh. My bad. Coach Taylor, can I start off with the CD Lamb thing?
Lambo, I love it when I see you smile. Lambo, I can tell by your voice when you're smiling.
I need to engage. I'm gonna let y'all go, but I gotta go first because you know I troll Cowboy fans for a living. CD Lamb at number 20. CD Lamb out of the University of Oklahoma, EA Sports Electronic Arts College Football 25. EA Sports Electronic Arts Madden NFL 25. Look, CD Lamb is not reporting to camp. Breaking news. He's not reporting to camp. What did the man from Seoul say? He said in order to be good, you have to be bad. So who you got to pay? Who you got to pay? Michael Parsons or CD Lamb? Now, is the deal going to get... What is the deal going to get done? The question is the deal going to get done? Mike McCarthy on his last year, Dak Prescott on the last year, the defensive coordinator on the last year. This is make it or break it. CD Lamb not reporting in camp. Now, he's not the only one not reporting in camp, but he wants security. I guess his last year they own about $18 million. But look at this. CD Lamb, and it's breaking news. CD Lamb is a great receiver. I think he's a great number 1, number 2. I wouldn't say he's number 1 just yet. I know they lost Amari Cooper and all
he's
that.
He's the number 1 receiver in the NFL, dude.
Yeah. Well, hold on.
Number 1 overall, but he's the number 1 receiver on his team, on any team.
Well, hold on now. The question that Jay Freeman in the comments said, does CD Lamb wants Tyreek Hill money? Now, Tyreek Hill is a freak of nature. Now, CD Lamb is fast as well. I look at it from this perspective. I look at it like this. CD Lamb, and the man from Seoul can take credit for this. CD Lamb is no longer going to be a Dallas Cowboy after next year. CD Lamb will be the top 1 or top 2 free agent wide receiver in the NFL. The man from Seoul, what do you think about CD Lamb?
Well, first, before I speak, I would like to defer this specific position in the contract year, the year he's at, to Howard, and talk to us about having him as a client at this stage at his contract and what you'd be doing and telling your client, please.
Man, I'd be doing the same exact thing that he's doing right now. I sure wouldn't be reporting to training camp just Jefferson got and who was the guy who signed right before Jefferson? I can't recall. There was one other receiver that got big money. You know, these guys are getting paid quarterback money now, and I just don't see this deal getting done because, like Lambo said, there's only so much cap money to go around, and they gotta sign Micah Parsons.
Or like the man from Soul said, before you get to your point, the man from Soul, he like rebuild the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, get rid of them, compensate them for some draft picks, and go for there. But man from Soul, go ahead, and what's your thought process on this? Because you might be right.
Well, I mean, my conspiracy is in motion. Okay, I don't think if there's anybody who's going to be a Cowboy beyond on next year's rosters, anyone on that roster that's going to be there, and if it was me, he wouldn't be there either, is Micah Parsons. But CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott and the head coach, they're gone, and they're not going to budge on this one because here's the thing. The only way they can do Parsons and him is if they absolutely stink it up this year, pick in the top 5, get them a quarterback. Those guys can stay and bring in the quarterback, i.e. what the Vikings are doing with J.J. McCarthy and signing Jefferson to the big money. Because he's got J.J. McCarthy's money for the next 4 years. You can roll with that because your quarterback's not making anything. The only way Parsons and him stay is if they do a reboot, but they've got to stink this year. They've got to get a top 10, top 5 quarterback, or what's the point? You might as well trade both of them and just accumulate a whole bunch of picks. Because if you're picking in the middle, trying to find a quarterback, and you're not signing back Dak, what are we doing here? Those guys aren't going to be around when we win anyway. So you'll get 2 first-round picks for Micah Parsons. That's better for the long-term future of the Dallas Cowboys than to try to muddle around in the middle of the draft right now, trying to patchwork this thing together. Let it go.
Coach Ball?
Man, I tell you what, when you got a guy that hangs out with Andy Reid every offseason, he's probably going to drop some knowledge on you. Crystal Ball, Paul, man, I love that. You called that several months ago with the Cowboys. You predicted the future. That's why you are Crystal Ball, Paul. That's why your value here with Totem Pole Nation enhances every single show that you bless us with. CeeDee Lamb, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, is the second best receiver in the National Football League. When I look at top tier receivers, they got to make plays in big games, and they got to play on a winning football team. Tyreek Hill is my number 1, and then CeeDee Lamb. Jefferson, I'm sorry. I love the plays that you make. You single-handedly beat Buffalo a few years back, but you have a young quarterback. You're going to go through some growing pains. These guys right here are built to win right now. But like you said, it's a big question mark on CeeDee Lamb because those guys, they got to cough up the cash, and they got too many people to pay. If they get rid of those 3 players, which arguably Dak Prescott is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the big picture. I think you got Matt Stafford, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts. Who else? You know what I mean? Big drop-off. Brock Purdy. You know, people got to step up to get to
Baker
that level.
Mayfield.
But
Baker Mayfield,
in my opinion, should be top 10. In fantasy football, he's going in the top 5 every single draft. Coach Taylor, what is your thought process on CeeDee Lamb? The Washington Commanders got to play him twice a year. You want that guy out of the division. Heck, you want that guy in the maroon, don't you? You want him for the Commodores, don't you?
CeeDee Lamb is the prototype, dude. I mean, look at his 6'2", 200 pounds. Speed, fast. Another Oklahoma Sooner. How many national championships did the Oklahoma Sooner win with all these guys? 0, right?
0
I mean,
because
the last 2 years.
0 because Lincoln Riley is great on offense, but he's a fraud as defensive coaching. He's a fraud. The defensive side of the ball has never improved, and it still hasn't improved in USC. He's on the hot seat, but we'll talk about that later.
Number 19. How about this guy, another Iowa guy? Is the man from Seoul still on here? The man from Seoul?
Nope. George Kittle? George Kittle? Did y'all watch the receiver series of George Kittle? Funny
No, sir.
personality. He can run block. He can pass block. Anything you ask him to do, he can do it. Look, the best tight ends in the game right now are George Kittle and Travis Kelce. Those are the two top best tight ends in today's game. The similarity, I think they're similar just a little bit. I'm not gonna say they're similar like 100%, but Travis Kelce can do some of the same things. And I understand that the 49ers and the Chiefs offense they're somewhat the same and they're somewhat different. George Kittle, he can catch the ball. Remember those 3 touchdowns against those Dallas Cowboys? And he lifted that shirt up and said, F Dallas. Remember that? Look, George Kittle has a bright future with the 49ers. Now, I know the 49ers are in question whether they're going to get rid of Ayuk or they're going to try to keep him. Because if you're trying to win a Super Bowl now, why would you get rid of Ayuk and Debo if you're still trying to win? Look, I understand they had some playoff failures. I understand they had some, they were short, but they made it to the Super Bowl. They made it to the NFC Championship game in the last 3 years. It's not like they're completely falling apart. So if I'm the 49ers and John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, I'd rather keep Ayuk. George Kittle, great addition. I think George Kittle's going to get some big money soon if he hasn't already, but I like George Kittle. I think George Kittle could be a little bit higher on this list. George Kittle got to be in the top 8. Just because tight ends, like when you install the offensive tight ends are a very, very crucial part of the game. Watching receiver, finish the series is a great series. George Kittle and Debo Samuel on the same team. When Debo's healthy, I know the other thing. When Debo is healthy, Debo, George Kittle, it's a dynamic duo. Coach Jay Freeman, what do you think about George Kittle, and has he changed the game for the NFL as far as tight ends?
Oh, Lambo, I love hearing your comments, man. Listen, George Kittle is dynamic, bro. George Kittle is basically almost 6'4", almost 250, runs about, they say 4'5" is what he ran, but man, he's got a 38-inch vertical jump, baby. He can separate. He is respected by defenders, bro. He's respected by defensive ends. He's respected by linebackers. And he's respected by DBs. If you watch how some of the toughest men that play on defense in the NFL, how they love up on George Kittle, it shows the mutual respect because he can block you in the running game as a tight end, and he can make you miss and look stupid as a passing game. And that's what earns respect from defenders, dog. When someone is a straight dog, you know what I mean? Hey, let's be real. And I bet a lot of people on this panel could say this. There's a lot of tight ends that want nothing to do with NFL defensive ends, bro. Like if I gotta block you, if I'm a tight end and I'm an NFL tight end, and I gotta block you, I sure as hell ain't gonna go out for a route worth of crap because I can't do both. George Kittle can do both. Any great tight end, truly great tight end in the history of the game is a good blocker and a good receiver. George Kittle, I would say, is pretty dang good at both. And to copy what you said, Lambo, the 49ers have a collection of talent. Debo Samuel, George Kittle, McCaffrey, the fullback even, right? They got a collection of talent. Yeah, they got a collection. But I think George Kittle is dynamic. I think he's loved by players on both sides of the ball. And I think people love his enthusiasm. When you watch him run around like a little kid and have that joy as a football player, it's the same joy that young people have when they first get introduced to the game. And that's infectious. Have you ever had a teammate that raises the level of everyone in there? That's what he does.
Man from Soul, George Kittle at 19, if I'm correct. George Kittle at 19. How do you feel about George Kittle? Who is the best tight end in the NFL? Is it George Kittle or Travis Kelce? What do you think about this?
Easy answer. That's Travis Kelce. But I am in love with all of my Iowa tight ends that grace the National Football League. However, I will revert back to what I said before. Jamar Chase, George Kittle. Jamar Chase, George Kittle. Love you, Kittle. You're not Jamar Chase, but you deserve to be in the top 25.
Coach Ball, What do you think about George Kittle?
You know what? We talk wrestling. We all love pro wrestling. Back in the day, there was a guy that they called the total package Lex Luger. This guy is the Lex Luger in his prime of the National Football League. Aiden Hutcherson. Ask Aiden Hutcherson if George Kittle can block, because he completely pancaked this man in the game. He's got multiple videos of him pancaking guys and laughing. The guy is having a good time out there. The reason I love the kid is because he wasn't a 5-star guy. I don't even know if he was a 3 or 2-star guy. The guy, somehow got out of the state of Oklahoma, where he's from. The guy's from Norman, Oklahoma. So the fact that the Sooners did not see that he was elite, I think is why you see a guy that plays with a chip on his shoulder. There's a couple guys that are coming up that are like that. I know Josh Allen is coming up, another guy that plays with a chip on his shoulder. But yeah, Kittle, I love the guy. He does the fundamentals. He blocks, no block, no rock. That's the mindset every receiving core should have. No block, no rock, which means you block, you're going to get the ball. George Kittle, if he plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, he is known as the best tight end of all time. But because he plays for the Niners, he plays for a young quarterback, Brock Purdy, he doesn't get the love that he deserves. But this guy is the second coming of Rob Gronkowski, because he can block, he can run, he can catch, he does all the small details properly, and his teammates love him. He's 30 years old, so he's in his prime for the next 2 seasons. But I could see this guy jumping into pro wrestling. I know he's a big pro wrestling fan as well. Howard Shotsky, tell me about George Kittle, brother.
It must be what you're looking for. Sheesh. You must know what you're looking for. Sheesh.
You all right there?
Yeah, man, I'm good.
I was a little worried there.
No, don't be worried. Be worried about shit.
I'm right there with Lambo. I think Kittle and Kelsey are the 2 best tight ends in the league. Watching the receiver series gave you some tremendous insight into Kittle as a person. And like Coach Freeman said, this is a guy who makes all the guys around him better. And guys love playing with him. He's just a tremendous guy on and off the field.
Coach Taylor, what do you think about George Kittle?
I mean, I love George Kittle. He's a football player. He was a 5th-round pick, and he's what it's all about, man. Guys that can go out and find guys like George Kittle there who win in the NFL. And it just ain't about, how big a guy is coming out of high school. And that's why I love George Kittle. And this next guy is another one. This next guy, number 18 on the list, Max Crosby. What do y'all think about Max Crosby? Anybody got a strong opinion on Max Crosby?
He's the madman, Mad Max. Mad Max is a guy that gets in Mahomes' face. They double team him, triple team him. The guy gets to the quarterback. He reminds me of those old school Oakland Raiders, the Mad Stork. He reminds me, he's vintage old school Oakland Raiders. He's where he needs to be at there in Las Vegas. I'm sorry, but he reminds me of those old school Oakland Raiders. And he's another guy. I want to say he went to a smaller school. One of the Michigans, correct?
Eastern
Where'd you go,
Michigan.
Coach Freeman?
Eastern Michigan.
Eastern Michigan, yeah, smaller school, a guy that's going to play with a chip on his shoulder, man. But I love the game that he brings to the table. He's a wild man, and you need those guys on that defensive line. He couldn't play offense because the man's just a maniac. But you put him in a 3-point stance, put him on your best offensive lineman. The guy's going to make plays. He's going to get to the quarterback. He's going to be savage. He is going to be a savage. You talk about building up a great defense. You need guys coming off of that edge that can get some pressure, especially in a guy like Pat Mahomes' face. They got Bo. They're adding Bo Nix to the division, and then you got your guy Hubert. You got to get guys to the quarterback in that division, and Mad Max is the man. I love him at this position. This is a great spot for him. I think they wanted to get a Raider in this spot, and it's a good spot for them. What are your thoughts on this guy? I know you like defensive linemen and guys from up north. Crystal ball, Paul. Tell me about Max Crosby.
Well, I'll share a personal story about Mr. Crosby. Okay, I actually ran into him in an elevator in Kansas City. He was coming up with another guy, and I will tell you, my job is to find this picture because I don't care about football when it comes to Max Crosby. Max Crosby and the tight end that went to the Giants, they were huge substance abuse guys and alcoholics, and you wouldn't even recognize him in his picture. That's why I wanted to show it to you. But he's a better man, a football player and person than he was that time because he was going through a lot of stuff, and you wouldn't recognize him. Then he got clean and he went sober, and he created this animal, and it's a completely unsubstantiated animal that he created, but you would not recognize him. This was probably 6 years ago. The first time I was out of Kansas City. It wasn't too long ago.
It was about 5-6 years ago. You're right.
Yeah, he wasn't in a good place, and I just happened to talk to him in the elevator. Seemed like a nice guy, but they just came back from partying, and it was the night before the game.
Oh, wow. Yeah, man. Obviously a guy that's driven by demons, you know what I mean? And that's the thing. You can turn those demons and unleash that into something positive. It will change your life. I'm glad to see him, be able to, fight through the adversity. You never know what people are going on. And to see him do that, it just shows, the young athletes that anything is possible. You can hit rock bottom, but you can always bounce back up from that. And you can recreate yourself to a guy like the Mad Max Crosby.
And again,
Coach Freeman, I know you love defensive linemen, man. Tell me something about this guy we don't know.
Well, hey, so one thing that is interesting about him is like, look at his name, MAXX, double X. You know where double X comes from Max Crosby? It comes from the fact that he was such a big baby. He was 11 pounds and like 9 ounces.
Wow.
Right? That's why he's double X, because he's double extra large. Okay. The other thing about this kid is like we talked about, light your hair on fire. Okay. There's pass rushers that I call them shapeshifters. Is what I call them. I call them shapeshifters. And they're guys that when you put your hand on them, they bend, they mold, they're able to shift their body around a block and keep running on that angle. And I really like Coach Bald's comparison to some of those older Raiders, some of those older AFC West kind of guys, because sometimes when he's bringing it, it reminds me of those old guys. Like sometimes it reminds me of like a Jack Youngblood, or like just some of the intensity. Like you mentioned Mad Stork Hendricks, but like for me, he had 94 pressures last year, you guys, and he was fighting through a knee injury. He had 94 pressures, and he was fighting through a knee injury. The other thing about Max, double X Max, is he plays the run much better than most of these elite rushers. You know what I'm saying? Like he's always going to stick his nose in there. When it's goal line, when it's short yardage, he's going to put his nose in there and do the right thing on the running game. A lot of these guys on the running game, they're just going to bust and move upfield. They're going to run the hoop. They're going for the sack. Not Max, man. Max is going to do his job and be a factor in the run game. I love the guy. I would love the guy to be on my team. I think, again, we talked about players that make other people around them better. How would you like to play 3-tech or inside backer around or behind Max Crosby? I bet you wouldn't be getting that much smoke. Hey, and listen, how about what I'd be interested to know is Phil Schlotsky, you got a lot of knowledge about the NFL and how it works. Could you talk to us a little bit about this player? what's it like to represent some of these young men who might have, maybe they're raw around the edges, like Coach mentioned, Paul mentioned, maybe he's out partying the day before the game. How do you help to encapsulate these young stars, these young talents, with protective measures so that they're successful, so they have a long career? Hey, I was telling my football players yesterday, the average NFL career is 2.7 games. It's not 2.7 years, it's 2.7 games.
NFL means not for long.
Yeah, I'm a big Max Crosby fan. They just reworked his deal in the offseason. They gave him $6 million. He's the type of player you want to give that money to. I think, to answer your question, it really starts at the beginning when they're young. You got to teach guys about saving money. You got to teach them about the 401k. These are things that not every 22-year-old kid knows about. So you got to prepare them for when they get that $6 million like Max Crosby just did. All right, Coach Taylor, who do we got next?
Great job, Howard Jeski. Number 17 on the list is the one and only Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is next on our list. Coach Paul Medley, what do you think about Joe Burrow? Check, check, check. Mic check. Can I get a mic check?
Yep, we lost him.
Y'all got me?
Yeah.
Check, check. There you go. Hey, Howard. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow didn't even play last year, and they got him at 17. What do you think about Joe Burrow at number 17? Starting quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals.
This is a huge season for Joe Burrow. This is going to show us whether he's going up or whether he's going down. But to put him as the 17th ranked player in the NFL right now, when I'm not even sure that he should be a starting quarterback. Nah, not me.
Starting quarterback.
Well, he's obviously one of the best 31 there are, but I don't know if I'm putting him even in the top 10.
Wow. How about you, man from Seoul? Is Joe Burrow a top 10 quarterback in the NFL? Man from Seoul, you have frozen up. Coach Bald, you don't look like you're in front of that palm tree. Is Coach Jay Freeman there? Because I'm a huge Joe Burrow fan. Joe Burrow at number 17, he didn't even play last season. So, Coach Jay Freeman, your mic is muted. What do you think about Joe Burrow at number 17? Your mic is muted, Coach.
Volume.
Yeah, you got to hit down at the bottom where it says mute. You got to unmute yourself. Coach Ball, what do you think about Joe Burrow at number 17?
Yeah, no, I think you got to have him in the top 10. I think he's arguably, the second or third best quarterback. I think you got to have him in the, maybe even top 5, man.
Coach Shea Freeman, come out and go back in. Come
Joey
out.
Ball game, man. Joey football.
Come back in. Joey football.
I really do, man. This list, I'm telling you, man, there's guys that are missing. You know, where is Matt Stafford? You know, Matt Stafford is not top 50. He's the best quarterback in the NFC. Is he not top 50 worthy? There's not a Ram on this list. Is anybody noticing that? You know, anybody noticing that? And there's not a Charger on this list. I haven't seen one. Has there been a Charger? Has their quarterback been on here? A lot of quarterbacks not on this list. Kind of shocking, you know, because you're talking about the top 50 players right now. Yeah, I'm pretty surprised. You know what I mean? We'll see. I think the Rams are going to have a big chip on their shoulder with Cooper Kupp coming back healthy. The running back tore it up last season. But, yeah, man, Joey Burrow, those guys are – I think they have to be the odds-on favor to knock KC off. And what they did in the draft I thought was phenomenal. You know, getting the big offensive lineman to watch Joey Burrow's back and then getting Chris Jenkins. Chris Jenkins slid to the next round, and they were able to get a first-round talent in the second round, a big stud out of Michigan to play on that defensive line and get after the quarterback. That's a brutal division, man. That is arguably the toughest division in pro football. You got Russell Wilson possibly leading the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, you had the Cleveland Browns who ran away with the division last season, but got punked out by Houston in the playoffs. And, you know, you got the Baltimore Ravens, who's everybody's favorite. So I love Joey Burrow, but, man, he's top 10 all day in my list. Coach, what do you think about that, Howard Schotzky?
I got to play fantasy football with you because you can have Joe Burrow as your quarterback and CeeDee Lamb is your wide receiver 1, and I will pound you every week.
Woo!
Say this, Howard. I'm picking Joey Burrow in the 9th round. Okay, I'm not going to pick him in my first 8 rounds. Okay, so if he's still sitting there in the 9th round, that's when I pick my quarterbacks, my man. I don't pick them early.
And that's why I can't put him as number 17.
Right. Amen. Yeah. Coach Taylor, what do you think about Joey? Oh, we're moving on.
Yeah, I love Joey Burrow. Joe Burrow, dude.
We went through Joe Burrow. We can move on.
The Sauce Man out of Detroit, Michigan, a lockdown corner. Howard Schotzky is shaking his head. That means he is happy. All right. Sauce Gardner. Who's your point of reference on Sauce Gardner? Who does he remind you of? This is a guy that didn't start until his junior year in high school. That's how loaded Martin Luther King High School is in Detroit. Wow. What do you think, Howard?
I mean, he reminds me of Darrelle Revis. He's a lockdown.
Woo!
Wow.
I'm a big fan of this kid.
You know, I think if we studied the top 20, here's something I'm seeing that's a pattern. Ever since 20, we've seen guys that have been overlooked, that really weren't 5-stars. Guys who the experts who are 19-year-old kids running an internet site didn't know what they had inside them. Let's go back through this list, y'all. Okay, at number 20, you had.
Don't start moving backwards now.
CeeDee Lamb, he's a 5-star. Okay, 19, you had a guy coming out of high school, was a 2-star. He was what, a 5th-round draft pick. 18, you have a guy who went to a small. I mean, I don't want to say a small school, but I mean, out of Eastern Michigan, he was a 4th-round pick. So there was a lot of guys taken before him. 17, you had Joe Burrow, who wasn't even good enough to get offered by Nebraska, wasn't good enough to start at Ohio State. Then you have Sauce Gardner that didn't even start. So, Coach Bald, is this a reoccurring theme that these guys have a chip on their shoulder and the experts aren't experts?
You know, I think people love the underdogs, and you've got quite a few underdogs in this top 20. I love it. It fires me up. You know, most times those guys that are the number 1 rated high school guys, you know, going into college, they're rarely rarely drafted in the top 10. You know what I mean? What it is it's guys that get there with chips on their shoulder, that continue to grind, that continue to buy in, that continue to, instead of going to the party, they're going to the weight room. Instead of going to the dance, these guys are going to the film room. You know what I mean? All that partying and all the dance, that's always going to be there after football. Focus on football, focus on your dreams, so we can call you guys out in this top 20 right here.
Brian Post. My great friend Brian Post is on. Brian Post is an expert in offensive line play, an expert from the state of Ohio. This is for you. I'm seeing a pattern, y'all, in the top 19 players. It's guys with a chip on their shoulder. Travis Kelce out of Cleveland Heights, Ohio, went to University of Cincinnati. I've got a sauce comment, y'all. Yes, are you still on here, Jay Freeman? Come back on if you want, or you can put it in the chat. That's fine. But this guy right here, #1 podcast in America. I mean, he's dating a billionaire, Taylor Swift. Coach Bald, I saw you got up and did something. Did you go grab something to Travis Kelce? Some memorabilia, a card? What did you go do?
But, he is, man. He's a stud. Another guy that, came in with a chip on his shoulder. University of Cincinnati wasn't the biggest school, in college football, but he went there. He went there and played with his brother. This guy takes a lot of heat for whatever his views are and everything. But, man, on the football field, the guy is a playmaker. He's a game changer. You've seen the Chiefs struggle, and a lot of times they struggle early. And then you see him, ready to fist fight somebody on the sidelines, maybe push a coach. But you know what? Sometimes you have to get something going. Sometimes you got to start a fight to get to the fight in your football team. And Travis Kelce, he's a stud. Arguably the best tight end right now. I love Kittle because Kittle can block. I think Travis Kelce is a bigger wide receiver, but the guy does have toughness. He's tough to bring down. He gets open. He's not the fastest. He's not the biggest. He's not the strongest. But when it comes to heart and fortitude, Travis Kelce is why he's on this list and as high as he is. I agree with this ranking. And I do. I think he's a game changer. And yes, him dating Taylor Swift, in my opinion, is great for pro football. I love pro football, and now guess who wants to watch pro football with me? The Way of the Warrior kid, my granddaughter Sophia. She wants to watch football to see what Travis Kelce is doing and what Taylor Swift is doing. And she's always like, Papa, are the Chiefs? Are they on the Bucs schedule? I'm sorry, sweetheart. They're not on the Bucs schedule, but you can watch pro football with Pawpaw any day, and I love it. That's what America is about. Howard Shotsky, you know a thing or two about great tight ends. I'm sure you're a huge Mark Bavaro fan. Mark Bavaro was a guy that made the tight end spot lethal, and you being a G-man and loving pro football, especially up in that area in the Northeast where you're originally from, tell us about the tight end slot and how big of a factor it is and how it makes everybody much better when you have a great tight end.
It's huge. If you have a tight end that can catch and block like Kelce and Kittle, you've got weapons that other teams don't have, because if you look around the league, show me where they are. There's only maybe one or two other tight ends that you even want to talk about in the discussion. So you're talking about guys, they're not just good for when they play now. These are elite level Hall of Fame players that we're talking about. When you talk about Travis Kelce and George Kittle, those are two guys who I could see going in the Hall of Fame.
Yes. I mean, they're the Jason Wittens of their era. They're the Tony Gonzalez's. Yep. They're the best of their time. That's what a Hall of Famer is. The best of their time.
Now, I got a question for you since you brought him up. Travis Kelce or Tony Gonzalez? Coach Ball.
Well, you know what? I'm big on this. I'm big on winning. And Tony Gonzalez, was a freak of nature, but he didn't get any of these, I don't believe. And you know what? I got to go with Travis Kelce. Everybody wants to paint Pat Mahomes as a one-man show. I don't think they get to where they're at and win the Super Bowls without a Travis Kelce. Because you know what? Leadership sometimes is that guy just yelling at everybody, getting everybody dialed in. And I think that's a place where you don't see, that's a spot where it's kind of behind the scenes where Travis Kelce is the guy that steps up and gets his guys fired up and get them dialed in every Sunday. And that's tough to do, especially when you got the bullseye on your back every single game, every single season. And those guys do have the bullseye on their back. And who better to lead the charge than Travis Kelce, man? Big fella. Heck yeah. Coach Taylor, anything else you want to add about Travis Kelce, or you jumping to the next guy?
No, I mean, Travis Kelce fits the pattern. And it's the pattern of football, dude. It's the pattern of finding great players. It's a pattern why the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in pro football. And this next guy fits the pattern because look at him. He looks like a everyday Joe Schmo. But there's something that's inside of this guy that makes him elite. Coach Jay Freeman, are you still on mute?
I'm here, sir.
How do you feel about TJ Watt or anybody else? There's a pattern from 19 on. All these guys are the underdog. All these guys have a chip on their shoulder. I don't think any of them are 5 stars, but they got something inside of them that's like Jimmy Rogers. And that's the pattern. If you can recognize that, what's inside of someone, not what's outside. Coach Al Groh called it the toolbox. A lot of guys got a nice toolbox on the outside, but you open up the tools and they're rusty. They're crappy. Some guys' toolbox ain't very big. It's a little dinged up. It's not the prettiest, but inside their tools are elite. They're the craftsmen. They're shiny. They're perfect. Coach Jay Freeman. 19 through now, TJ Watt, what are you thinking?
Hey, I got to say one thing about TJ Watt, and I say this sometimes to players. I can't look inside your heart and see if it's pumping blood or Kool-Aid. I don't know what's inside. But I'll tell you what, when you see TJ Watt destroy offenses the last 3+ years, destroy great players, destroy guys that stay up late at night trying to stop them, trying to design schemes to chip them, to slide the line to them, to have extra backs on them, to have extra tight ends on them. That kid's motor is exceptional. It's otherworldly. The fact that he can do what he does in the pass rush is just a testament to his heart, his will, and I would also say his big brother. I think his big brother has been a huge factor in his life. Okay? Hey, Paul, the man from Seoul, was preaching yesterday, and one thing he said was he talked about Tiger Woods' father. He talked about the impact that Tiger Woods' father had on Tiger Woods in the game of golf. And he talked about if Tiger Woods' father hadn't passed away, Tiger Woods would have destroyed every record in golf, right? But the same thing with J.J. Watt. How many times do you think when T.J. Watt is competing in the NFL, it ain't close to what he went through with his brother? His brother pushed him at an early age farther than probably anybody else ever did, right? Have you ever seen them flip the 1,000-pound tire?
No.
You know what I mean? I've seen JJ flip the 1,000-pound tire 72 times in a workout. Wow. Okay? Now, what does that tell you about your base? When I put my hands on a 320-pound guy who's got length on me, who's got size on me, but I can change speed to power with my explosion. And when I turn into that guy and he turns to me too soon, he lights him up with the long arm, with the speed to power, and with his hands. But I would say you're exactly right, Coach Taylor. It's his attitude. It's his preparation. That's what separates him from all those other players.
Howard Schotsky, what do you think about TJ, don't call me JJ Watt.
I agree with Coach Freeman. I think, this is why you see so many sons of NFL players now in the league. You see younger brothers, because what Coach Freeman said, I think in their backyard, JJ probably beat up TJ more than he's ever been beaten in an NFL game before. So when you have a brother or a father who's an elite player, there's a lot of knowledge that can be, and like Coach Freeman said, it's about, when you're playing offensive or defensive line, people don't realize how much it's about technique. And if you have a solid base where you can, get that first punch on a guy before he moves you backwards, you're gonna be all right. And I'm a big TJ Watt fan.
Coach Paul,
what do you think about TJ?
Absolutely. He's just a guy that I think because of his brother, he doesn't get the props he deserves. I think he's top 5. To have him here at 14 to me is it's disrespectful. You're looking at a guy who's 6'4", 250. That's not freakish. That's probably about the average size of most defensive linemen, outside linebackers that play that kind of edge spot. He's a guy you can line up anywhere. Does anybody realize this guy also holds the record, for sacks at 22.5 with Howard Schotzky's main man, Michael Strahan? They hold that record together. All right, that alone makes this guy elite. That alone should have him, sitting there in that top 5 spot. And another thing, you talk about having a chip on your shoulder. How does 29 other football teams miss and do not draft this guy? This guy was drafted number 30 in round 1 of the 2017 NFL draft. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are a team that does not have losing records. And it's because of guys like TJ Watt. He's the main reason. The guy out of Wisconsin followed in his brother's footsteps. If it wasn't for his brother, I think this guy would obviously be top 5. But in my opinion, he's a top 5 talent. He's a stud. He's a generational talent. This is a disrespectful spot. Who do we got coming in next, Coach? I'm looking at
Tyree Howard says
13.
Yeah, Tyree Howard says show Brian Urlacher. Brian Urlacher went to New Mexico, correct? It was New Mexico State. And he was that third safety. He was a guy that lined up wherever he wanted and could really run. So, we're talking about the top 50 players, Tyree, right now, according to the PFF, the Pro Football Focus. But thank you for commenting. Welcome to Totem Pole Nation. We are the low man on the totem pole. I just sent Coach Jay Freeman a message, and we're going to figure out a way to send this stream. We're going to do the top O lineman and the top D lineman according to Pro Football Focus, and we're going to send it to Coach Jay Freeman's #1 Facebook group in the world, the O-line, D-line brotherhood. Coach Freeman, are your dreams becoming a reality?
Yes, sir. I'll tell you what, it was about 3 weeks ago, and I think I was talking to the man from Seoul, Paul, in a Target or some kind of store like that, some kind of store, and we're talking. It's the first time we talked on the phone, right?
Yeah.
And I just said, man, but the thing about you, Troy Taylor, and Totem Pole Nation, I've been watching your content from years, and the content has been amazing. It's been amazing. It's been amazing. And, I told you before, Coach Taylor, there was a part of me that was like, dang, I wish I was doing those interviews. Dang, I wish I was doing that. And it's funny how life works, isn't it, guys? It's funny how life works. When you surround yourself and you're able and you've been allowed to come into a mutual group of these, I feel really blessed to answer your question. And yeah,
y'all are blessing us. Y'all are blessing us. Howard Schatz, Jay Freeman. Yes, that's how life works. me and Coach Ball used to sit here with 10 people watching, and one of the guys was the man from Seoul in South Korea. Yes. And now we got Howard Shotsky, who was Michael Strahan's agent. He would be excellent to be on that O-line, D-line podcast, and to have Jay Freeman and Tyree Howard says the Ravens going to win the Super Bowl this year. Tyree, this is for you. And I think that this podcast is going to break records. I think our record is 8,000 views for a life lessons podcast. And if there's one life lesson you can take from this, Coach Bald, it's this cheat code to life is to surround yourself with people you want to be like. Lamar Jackson, number 13, the MVP last year. Howard Shotsky, you're from Rockville, Maryland. The DC Metropolitan Police, watch us. We are known in the DMV. We love go-go. We love Mumbo sauce. We love the backyard gang, the junkyard gang, all the go-go. How do you feel, Howard Shotsky, with Lamar Jackson from Boynton Beach on the list? I'm going to get something, but go ahead, Howard. Tell us about Lamar Jackson.
I got to tell, I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan. I don't think up until he won the MVP, he really got the credit he deserved. He's a pocket passer. He can run. He can move. He makes good reads, follows through his progressions. I'm a huge fan of Lamar Jackson. Right now, I'd probably say he's one of the top 2 or 3 QBs in the entire league.
Wow.
Coach Bald, what do you think about Lamar at where we got him here?
I'm kind of co-signing with you, but I think if he has a Super Bowl under his belt, he's in the top 5. You're talking about a baby still, 27 years old. This guy still has a good 7 years in his prime. Who knows? He could play till he's 37. You know what I mean? They just got to keep building around him, and barring injury, I think you're going to see this guy break some more records this season. I absolutely think those guys are going to break the total team rushing record between him, Derrick Henry. They're going to be monstrous this season. They play here in Tampa on, I want to say, October the 21st. On Monday Night Football, and I'm excited. I am excited to see the Baltimore Ravens come here into Tampa. I will be live from the stadium. But yeah, man, he's another guy that has always had a chip on his shoulder. They keep downing him. They keep saying he's not good enough. He's not good enough. How he got out of the state of Florida to play college ball in Louisville.
Bobby Petrino. Bobby Petrino.
Guy. How does Florida State, how does the University of Florida let this guy slip past them? You're looking at a guy, if he's got 10 more years in him, he's going to be an easy first ballot Hall of Famer. Once he wins the championship, he's going to be known as the best running, passing quarterback, outdoing Michael Vick, in my opinion. Coach Taylor, what do you got there? I see you with some gear. What is that?
They have these stores that sell bootleg merchandise and malls and stuff. And they have, I don't know how they do it legally, Howard Shotsky, but they sell all these high school uniforms and jackets of pro players. Michael Jordan, this is a Lamar Jackson jacket. I got my son. If I don't fit him anymore, it's only a medium. All right. But it's from Boynton Beach High School. I got him the Kobe Bryant McDonald's All-American jacket, and I got him this. It's a pretty sweet jacket. I think it probably cost me about $100, but it's all embroidered. I mean, it's that old school satin jacket.
Well, at least he didn't give that one away.
I think it was because he wanted this one. He did not want that. What was that? A Donovan McNabb Redskin?
Yeah.
Jersey?
Yes, it was.
Coach Jay Freeman, were you watching that flea market episode?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Can I say a little tiny bit about Lamar Jackson?
Sure.
I don't want to say too much.
Go get
But
it.
here's what I want to say is, as a guy that was a D-line guy for about 12 years, a defense coordinator numerous times, the thing that defenses cannot account for, still can't account for, is a running quarterback.
Randall
Is a
Cunningham.
quarterback who can create. Okay? Now, let's be real about something. Okay? And now, we got some smart people here. We got great people on the Totem Pole Nation chat. You guys tell me if you think I'm right. The structure of defense changes as the type of athletes that have to contain a modern quarterback changes, right? Sometimes that defensive end, even though he runs a 4.5 in the league, a 4.6, he's a big, elite power forward, a basketball build kind of kid, can get off the ball, can run. It doesn't matter against somebody like Lamar Jackson. Somebody Lamar Jackson, you better have a rabbit spy him. You better have a dang little DB spy him. I better have somebody that can run just the same as he can run spy him. Okay, and we call those guys nickel rabbits, nickel rushers. The guy down there from Tampa Bay, right? That young man whose father was such a good player at corner, that guy could probably spy him up and take him. But the average defensive lineman cannot contain Lamar Jackson. And that is the cheat code. That is the cheat code that is Lamar Jackson. Hey, listen, sometimes, and you tell me, coaches, sometimes with a player like Lamar Jackson, I would tell my players in high school, don't even rush him.
No.
Don't even rush him. Just try to stay at a certain point to make him come back inside or whatever. You're not going to contain a guy like that. You're not going to do it. And
We have a
so,
couple-
you know, sorry.
We have a couple of totem pole Lamar Jacksons. Here you go.
Elizabeth is in the house. Bentley is in the house.
I mean, Elizabeth, my man, and Bentley, we're going through the top 25 PFF Pro Football Focus top 50 players. The man from Seoul is back. The man from Seoul must want to talk about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is 13.
What?
13.
Number what?
13.
13.
Okay, it's ironic that I popped in here.
13, Elizabeth.
13's fine. But I'm not a fan. And this is where I pop in because Pro Football Focus, whoever, has just told me that I need to address something here. I do not care anymore about regular season. Dak Prescott, he tricked me once. I will not be fooled ever again.
So
I will not be fooled by people
So
who
you're
I
saying
know.
Lamar needs that ring for his resume.
Lamar Jackson's a regular season quarterback. I'm gonna revert back to, and I hate to do this, man, until you prove it to me. My man Phil Rivers said, quote, if you can't complete a pass in the fourth quarter, 3rd and 7 through a tight window, forget about it.
Well,
in the playoffs.
You hit the nail on the head. That's the criticism, is that he's a regular season quarterback and can't get it done in the playoffs.
Again, guess what? But I got to see him play, and just like Prescott, who to Dallas, should we sign him? Should we not? But he can't do it, and I'm just right there to believing Lamar can't do it. You've got to be able to do it. I don't care if you can run, or you're Mike Vick, or you're Dan Marino. Or it doesn't. You throw the ball in a tight window, 3rd and 7, 5 minutes and 31 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and you're down by 4. Can you do that?
Well, I'm interested.
Phil Rivers.
I'm interested to see what happens now with the progression of Zay Flowers and with them having Derrick Henry. That should take some of the pressure off Lamar.
And I hope so. and I like their offensive coordinator too, the guy out of Georgia. And again, I know it was just 1 year, but what I saw, and again, that part of it's not his fault. That was a poorly called game, but I've seen him not do it in certain games, and I'm just like, you have to be able to do that. No one's just gonna let you go EA Sports video game on them and run around. It's not high school. It's not. No, I feel the same way about the quarterback for Virginia Tech. You got to be able to throw the ball in a tight window, 3rd and 7.
Big players make big plays in big games.
Amen.
Tyree Howard, with Derrick Henry, the Ravens are a top 3 team in the NFL. Here we go. Tyree Howard, that's for you. Coach Shay Freeman says Todd Monken. Anybody else got something on Lamar Jackson they want to say till we go to number 12?
I'm going to say one more thing, man. Okay. Sign me up for a divisional round Ravens-Jets game. I think that would be sexy.
Okay, so Crystal Ball Paul, we heard what you had to say about Lamar Jackson. Do you have that same energy about Josh Allen at 12? And Josh Allen did not win the MVP last year. Lamar Jackson did. So why is Josh Allen rated ahead of the MVP? Do you have the same energy towards Josh Allen not being able to get it done when it has to get done? Paul.
Okay. I have to say this is a setup, but however, if I asked you who could do it in the next 5 years, I mean, and I'm not saying winning anything, who can complete that pass that I just asked you to complete? Who are you taking?
Josh, I'm taking Lamar Jackson. I like Lamar.
You're trying to spar with me. No, you're not. Dude,
the Bills are talking about getting rid of Josh Allen.
You know why? No. Because they had their chance. And now they got to wait to build a team around him. Why not get 3 first-round picks and start all over, dude? It's
Lamar Jackson, his coach is defending him.
Yeah, because that's their culture, and he has to do that because he's under contract.
So is Josh Allen.
I know that, but they've lost everything. Baltimore hasn't lost they're starting all over. They might as well got rid of the coach this offseason.
How many times?
That's a reboot. That's going to be that team. Josh Allen will win with different players, so that's a reboot. I'll see them in 3 or 4 years. That's
How many times did the Patriots reboot? I mean, they went 10 years without winning the Super Bowl. I mean, Jay Freeman, I see you shaking your head. Jay Freeman, should Josh Allen be above Lamar Jackson on this list?
I'd say yeah, and I'll tell you why. Because I think the same thing we talked about. Like, there's no. Hey, does anybody doubt Josh Allen's ability to win in crunch time? I mean, he got beat a couple times. Is there any doubt about that? Is there any doubt about that? Building a team tomorrow, and you got to build a team tomorrow, and you got to take that guy. Because
so yeah. Hey, Jay, hold on. Can I get 5 seconds?
Yes, sir.
It's Josh Allen's fault that they lost to the Chiefs in Kansas City, right? No.
He's erratic. He throws the ball all over the place. He's a wannabe Brett Favre.
He's a gunslinger. Gunslinger,
right? You can win with gunslinger.
He's got the same amount of championships. 0.
Yeah.
Howard Shotsky, you're the agent. Howard Shotsky, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen? Why is Josh Allen rated above Lamar Jackson?
I can't wait to hear this. Wow.
Probably just because they've won.
What have they won, though?
They've gotten to the Super Bowl.
Josh Allen got to the Super Bowl?
No,
not him.
Neither has Lamar.
Neither guy has a Super Bowl, but how many MVPs does Josh Allen have? I know Lamar Jackson was the MVP last year, not 2 years ago, not 3 years ago, but he's 18 and Josh Allen's 17. Okay, Bills fan, lifelong Bills fan. You have the Bills card, okay, which means that you are tough. You can overcome anything. There is no better fan base than the Buffalo Bills fans. They clean the stadium. They shovel snow for free. They're having a party right now getting ready for the season. Coach Ball, how do you feel about Josh Allen being ranked over Lamar Jackson?
I mean, I think it's validated, had Lamar punched his ticket against the Chiefs, I think that he would be over top of them. But, he folded like a lawn chair in that game. He did not step up when he needed to. Josh has been known to win a lot of football games with his arm, with his legs, with his toughness, with his grit. I think we're at a great time to watch AFC football. AFC football is going to dominate here for the next 10 years, if you ask me. Reason being, you got Josh Allen sitting here 28 years old. You got Pat Mahomes, 28 years old. You got Joey Burrow and Lamar, both at 27 years old. Those four guys are going to be playing for the next 10 years probably. And I just think it's going to be great football. Yeah, Josh Allen, he just fits that mold of what Buffalo fans love. Buffalo fans love toughness. They love grit. The motto of the Buffalo Bill fan base is, it's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. And that's exactly that fan base is a very, very proud fan base. And I think if he has the same weapons or the same defense as what Lamar has there in Baltimore, I think you see that they are just a step more elite in Baltimore with a Josh Allen leading the way than a Lamar Jackson. The guy has a cannon for an arm. He can throw the ball 80 yards. You know what I mean? He's a great football player. I'm excited to see what happens for him this season because, they are kind of underdogs, in my opinion. I think you got a lot of Jet fans doing this number, thinking Aaron Rodgers is going to bring them a championship. Let's win a division before we talk about the Jets doing anything. All right. Hey, like I was saying with the Bucs winning the division 4 years straight, guess what? Buffalo has too. Buffalo has also won that division, I believe, 4 years straight. So I look forward to see what's going on there in Buffalo. I think McDermott will get that defense dialed in, and having that no-name receiving core is just going to let Josh be the full leader. And, you won't have that Diggs issue on the sidelines. But I'm excited. Now we're hopping into the defensive line. Dexter Lawrence of the New York Football Giants. Wow.
How is Thibodeau not on this list?
Let's hear it, Howard. I know you're a defensive line guy, especially with the Giants. Tell us about this kid. Is this the guy from Clemson?
Yeah, he's a young kid. He's shown some promise. This is probably a little high for him, in my opinion. I don't think he's proven yet to be that kind of player, but, he's a big kid. He's, 6'4", about 350. Wow. But he can move. So I think, with some coaching, he'll be one of those players. I just don't know if he's there right now.
Yeah.
I mean, how is Thibodeau? I watched a lot of film this offseason of the 49ers, the Detroit Lions, and the Cleveland Browns. And I didn't see one time that anybody ran at Thibodeau or Micah Parsons. So Thibodeau not being in the top 100 is nuts to me. Freakazoid. Coach Jay Freeman, Dexter Lawrence is 11. I mean, I love Dexter Lawrence. He's a two-gapper.
Hey, I got you right here. And listen. Sometimes PFF gets it right. And here's why. Because when you are evaluating nose guards and centers and guards, as you know, wonderful panel of Total Pole Nation, the only way you can really know how well those guys played is to grind and to grade every snap. And that's what they do at PFF now. They grade every snap. So if you look back over the last 2 seasons, this nose tackle has had a greatest impact than any interior nose guard in the last 18 years of PFF.
Wow.
No one is close. Wow. If you look as a guy aligned on the center or next to the center, he has, I believe, 81 quarterback pressures over 2 years as a nose guard. The next closest player has 16. What does that say?
Wow.
That is virtually unblockable as a nose guard, as a pass rusher. Okay? And what does it do for you as an overall defense when you have to double a shade or you have to double a nose? You can't now slide. You can't run traditional slide and get extra help to your tackle and be able to block those guys from a side when they want to bring 4 from a side, or they want to bring a nickel rusher, or they want to roll the backer with a boss or bow and send them. It doesn't happen because I got to keep that guy home to block the nose guard. What do you think, Coach Bald?
Hey, man, I totally agree. You know, I get to see it a lot here in Tampa. And you could even look at Tampa whenever, you know, before we had Vita Vea and now that we have Vita Vea. I believe we were at the bottom of the league as far as stopping the running game. And ever since we got the big fella, the fire hydrant in the middle of the defense, you know, it's been able to let guys like Levante David roam free and make tackles all over the field. Same thing with Antoine Whitfield, the guy, you know, make tackles all over the field because you got 3 guys trying to pick up the big man in the middle. I don't watch a lot of Giants football because they're pretty much terrible. I haven't seen anything good come out of them in a long time. It's good to see they get a good defensive lineman like him. But like you said, having a big fire hydrant guy like that in the middle is huge. Vita Vea does not have those kind of pass rushing skills that Lawrence has. So I think that's why you have him so high up on the board. And he's another young guy. I don't even think he's 25, 26 years old, man. So hopefully the Giants can lock
26 and a half.
Things.
He's 26 and a half. Coach Bald, Coach Jay Freeman, Howard Shotsky, Man from Soul. This Life Lessons podcast is a life lesson. It's a life lesson in dedication, commitment, and love. And this podcast has broke the record for most views of any Life Lessons podcast, over 8,000 views. And tomorrow will be part 3. We will go through 10 through 1 of the PFF top 50 players in pro football. Coach Bald, how do you feel about today? I see the hearts. How do you feel about today? How do you feel about Totem Pole Nation? How do you feel about St. Pete Rejuvenate?
Yeah, I'm gonna go backwards. St. Pete Rejuvenate, check us out. If there's any way we can help you, check out the website. Mental health. Health is wealth these days. You know, we believe in mental fitness. And give us a ring. We can get you help out there. If you need to drop a couple LBs, you know, it's summertime. Everybody wanted to look good in their beach gear, their bikinis for the ladies. Hit us up. We can make that happen. We can help you out. And yeah, you know what? Totem Pole Nation, man, you guys are the reason we're doing this. We're going to talk like this anyway, but we decided we wanted to document history. We are the low man on the pole, but whenever you're in the trench, when you're in the foxhole, the low man always wins. I really appreciate you guys checking us out. We're here for you. If there's anything we can help you out, find us on social media. We're all over the place. You know, check out Coach Jay Freeman. Catch up with Lambeau. Hit up Coach Taylor. You know, DM us. Direct message us. We will help you figure out whatever you need help with. That's why we're doing this. All right. We want to help people get better. We had people help us get better. We had coaches. We had mentors that meant everything to us and helped change our lives. And we know it's a community deal. When a guy gets drafted into the NFL, it's not just him by himself. It's about his parents. It's about his coaches. It's about his teammates. You know, it's about everybody that helped push, pull, or drag them up to the top. And yeah, I love it. Thank you, Coach Freeman. Howard Shotsky, you are the man from Seoul. Man, I love you, brother. Coach Taylor, man, always a blessing. And yeah, what do you got? Howard, give us some insight.
Howard, how are you feeling today?
I think this was a great podcast. We got through a lot of valuable information. I just hope everybody enjoyed it. And like Coach Bald said, hit us up on Twitter. We're always around.
Man from Seoul, how are you feeling from today's podcast? We did over 2,000. My fault. We did over 2 hours. We did over 8,000 views. We broke the Totem Pole Life Lessons record. How are you feeling right now about Totem Pole Nation, the man from Seoul?
It's incredible, you know. I have to concur. I mean, I was bouncing in and out of this one, but it just being while I was in it, this has been one of the best top 5 that I've been a part. It makes me want to go back and watch show 1 of myself and with the group because man, the insightful insight, the knowledge around the table, like I feel like the low man on the totem pole now.
Jay Freeman, how does it feel to be a part of Totem Pole Nation? How does it feel to be a part of the top 50 and to set a record for the most views for a Life Lessons podcast?
Hey, listen, to say I feel excited, to say I feel blessed, to say I feel like I'm part of something really special, like I've been given the opportunity by Coach Bald and Coach Troy Taylor and Slotsky, and then also Paul from Seoul to be a part and I was trying to tell Lambo yesterday, because Paul and Lambo and I were talking and the show ended, right? We were still talking. And me and Paul were chopping it up for a while, right? And at one point I said, man, we better get off here because we should save this for content. Coach Troy Taylor will be mad at us. But listen, hey, man, listen. This is a special thing. This is a special thing because like Coach Troy Taylor and I have been talking about the idea of a mastermind alliance, and that's a Napoleon Hill thing from Think and Grow Rich. But what it means is this: you ain't got to be the best at everything. One of my favorite sayings is this: you're the best at what you do in your own way. And I wish y'all would say it one time. You're the best. I'm the best at what I do in my own way.
I'm the best.
There's other people that say it, dog. Say it. Because I guarantee you this.
Way.
Yes. Because I bet there's other people that take care of people like this. Like as far as they do the same job, but they don't do it the same way. Like we talked about your inspiration, the head coach you worked for 20 years, your best friend who passed away, the head coach, we watched his video.
He wasn't even the head coach, though. He was not even the head coach. That's what's so great about him. He was the low man on the totem pole. Ain't that amazing? He was not the head coach.
But what is the separator? Like I asked Paul yesterday, I said, what is the difference between you and all those other, it's love, baby. It's love. It's love amongst men, amongst teammates. That's what makes you get through that time that you can't get through otherwise. What a blessing, you guys. What a blessing.
Amen. Have a great day. You got a great day forward. MK comes back on, and MK says, hello, everyone. MK
is in the house.
Totem Pole Nation, have a great day. You have a great day forward.